Let's continue with our lesson on Activity 2.1.2 Anatomical Mechanisms. If you remember, last time we went and measured the minimum bend angle of our elbows and the maximum bend angle of our elbows. So to remind you of what we did, let's watch this quick video.
A goniometer is a tool used to measure angles, commonly used to measure the range of motion in a joint. To use, hold the goniometer in place over the fulcrum of the joint so the moving arm is on the outside. Have the subject or person move the joint and hold. Move the moving arm of the goniometer so it's in line with the new placement. The fulcrum and stationary arm of the tool should remain in the starting position. Read the rotation degrees on the center dial.
So after that activity, we were able to collect as much as 45 set of numbers from students in both my third period and my sixth period class. So what are we going to do with all those numbers? To understand what we're going to do with those numbers, it is important that we do a side lesson on box plots and distribution. So box plots and distribution. So what is a box plot or a box and whisker plot? It's a graphical way to represent data for a single variable. So this is an easier way to understand number because it's graphical, it's visual, it's a picture. All right, and a box plot is simply an organized list of numeric data that has been divided into quartiles. So quartiles from the root word quart, which means into fours. So think about like a basketball game divided into 4 quarters. So what we're going to do with all those numbers is we are just going to organize them and then divide them into quartiles or into fours. And so box plots allow you to quickly get an idea of the center and variability of the set of data. So the two key words here would be center. So we will be able to easily see the median numbers in a set of data, and also the variability. So how different are the numbers? How different are the people that are subjects of our lab or of our experiment? So that's what we're doing. Now there are different components of a box plot. The first component would be the minimum. The minimum is the smallest value in the data set, or this is the smallest number in the set of data that we got. The maximum is the largest value of the data set. The median value is the number that's in the middle of the set of numbers that we got. So here is the minimum, which is represented by a whisker, and here is the maximum, which is also represented by a line in the whisker. The median is represented by a line in the middle of a box. Now, we have the lower half, so let's just say lower half, and then we have the upper half of all the numbers that we gained. Okay, the median of the lower half numbers is called Q1 or first quartile, and then the median or the middle number of the upper half set of numbers that we received is the Q3 or third quartile. So the first quartile and the third quartile. Now let's look at an example. So let's pretend that you were asked to measure the whole size, okay, of a given component. And so you will be using a ruler or a caliper in order for you to measure the size of this. And you were asked to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 trials. In the 10 trials that you did, you got the following numbers. So 2.93, 3.1, 3.0, 3.1, 2.8, 3.0, 3.2, 3.1, and 2.9. So to process those numbers, what you need to do is you need to order those numbers from smallest to the largest number. And that's the reason why we have 2.8 as the first number here, because that's the lowest number. And then you just go ahead and then take a look at all the other numbers. So 2.9 is here, 2.9 is also here, And then there's 1, 2, 3 threes. And that's the reason why we have 3, 3, and 3. And then there's 3.1, 3.1, and 3.1. Represented by those. And then 3.2. Okay. Now that you've organized all 10 numbers, the next thing is you need to divide the data into quartiles. So since there are 10 numbers, there is no middle number, so you draw a line in the middle of number 5 and number 6 number. Okay, and then on the lower half, there's 5 numbers. The middle number is the third number, and that's the reason why we have a line down here. And then the upper half of your data set is the 8th number, and that's the reason why we have a line drawn on the number 3.1. Now we determine the 5 numbers summary. So in the 5 numbers summary, you'll see that the smallest number is the minimum number. And then the median or the middle number of the lower half, again, remember that this is the lower half, is quartile number 1. Okay, the median number, or Q2, you could also call it as quartile 2 or second quartile, is the mean or the average of numbers 5 and 6, which is 3. They're both 3. So 3 plus 3 divided by 2, you get the median, which is 3. And then the last one, or the second to the last number, is the median of your upper half, and the median of your upper half here is 3.1. And then finally you get the highest number, or the largest number, which is the max, and that's 3.2. Now what are you going to do with all these numbers? You will convert them into a graphical form known as the box plot or the box and whisker plot. And so as you can see, this first one here is the minimum, which is represented by 2.8 millimeters. And then the largest number is 3.2 millimeters, which is at the very end of your box plot. And then the left part of your box, defining your box, is Q1 or first quartile, which is 2.9. And the right wall of your box is Q3 or 3.1. And the middle line that bisects your box is the median or second quartile or Q2. Now that you've seen how to do a box plot, let's practice on some simple problems. Okay, so take out the paper that was given to you, take out a pencil or a pen, and we'll do this together. Okay, example number 1. Mrs. Gomez, a math teacher, gave a pretest to her class of 15 students. Below is the result of the test. So, teacher gave out a pretest in math and in a class of 15 students, and there are 15 numbers here. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So there's 15 numbers in this data set. So once more, step 1 is for you to arrange the numbers in order from lowest to the highest. So the smallest number in this data set would be 20. So let me cancel 20 here and then write 20 down here. The next number would be 30. Let's see how many 30s do we see here. There's 30, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's 4 30s. So let's write that. 1, 2, 3, 4 of the 30s. The next number would be 35. So 35, and there's only one 35. So let's now write down 35. The next highest number would be 40, and then there's 2, 1, 2. So we'll write 40, and then 40 again. The next set of numbers would be 45, and there's 1, 2, 3. So 45, 1, 45, 2, and then 45, 3. Okay, the next highest number would be 50. Let's cancel that and let's write down 50 here. And then we have a 55 here and another 55 there. So 55 and 55, and the highest score is 60. So just to be sure, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 numbers. Okay, step 2, circle the minimum and the maximum values and write below. So the minimum value is the lowest number. So that's 20. And then the maximum value is the highest number. And that's 60. Okay, now let's look for the second quartile or the median. So there are 15 numbers. And so the middle number in a set of 15 numbers is the 8th number. And normally what I do is I just go one step back or forward with my finger. So I just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then as you can see, there's a middle number right here. So that middle number is my Q2. So find the Q2. So let's write down Q2. Q2 is 40. Okay, next, we want to get the lower half of the numbers, and we exclude the median. Okay, so that we don't count the median. So here is the lower half. And then just for reference, this is the upper half. Okay, so let's go get the median of the lower half and name that Q1. So if I go one number back or forward, I go 1, 2, 3. As you can see, there's a middle number once more. So 1, 2, 3. There's a middle number right here. The middle number is 30. Okay, so Q1 is 30. It's Q1. And then if I go to the upper half to get step number 5, I just go 1, 2, 3, and so the median number for the upper half is 50. Okay, so let's now finish this up. Here are the 5 numbers that I need. I need the minimum, I need the maximum, I have the median or Q2, I have Q1, and then I have Q3. So the range of numbers that I have, when I say range from the highest to the lowest, I have from 20, which is the minimum, going to 60. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use those numbers to plot my data set. So here in the graph, what we're going to do is we need to label the grids first. So we'll start with 20, and then we'll just count by 5. So 20, 25 on the next grid line, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and then 55, and then we're going to stop at 60 because that's the maximum. Okay, so let me plot the points now. 20, I'll put a point here, and then the maximum is, so I got 20, and then the maximum is 60, so I'll plot the point here for 60. My median is 40, so I'll put a point here at 40, and then my first quartile is 30, so I'll put a point here at 30, and then my quartile 3 or third quartile is 50, so I'll put a point here at 50. So the 30 and the 50 are the walls of the box. So I'll draw a box, and then here at 40 is my median, and then going from 20 through 30 would be my first whisker, and then from 50 to 60 will be the second whisker. And then I'll finish this up by just writing down the numbers. So this is, or writing down the labels. So this is my minimum. This is my Q1. This is my median or my Q2. This is my Q3. And then this one is my maximum. Okay, so let's do the second example. So for example number 2, We have the weights training coach surveying his class of 16 students to find out how much weights in pounds can his students deadlift. And below is the result. Let's check if there's really 16 numbers there. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 numbers. First is we need to write the numbers in order from lowest to highest. So the lowest number in the data set would be 120. So let's write down 120, followed by 125. So 125, and then the next one would be 130. After 130, we have a 135. And then we have 140. Next one would be 150. We got 2, 1, and then 2. So let's write down 150 and another 150. Okay, so after 150, we have a 155. And then the next highest would be 175. There's 1, 2, and 3. So 175, 175, and 175. Then we go jump to 200. Next, after 200, there's a 205. Then after 205, we have 215, 215, and 215. And finally, we have the last number, which is 225. Just to verify that we got it all, let's count all the numbers. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's 16 students there, so 16 numbers. Next, let's circle the minimum and the maximum value. So the minimum value is the smallest number. It's at 120. And the maximum value is the 225. Now let's go look for the let's look for the median, okay, or Q2. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back one step at a time. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so with 16 numbers, there is no middle number. What we get is a line in the middle of the 8th number and the 9th number. Okay, so the median would be the average or the mean of these two numbers. So we go add 155 plus 175 divided by 2. So 155 plus 175 will be 330 over 2. And if we divide it, our median now is 165. Next, let's look for the lower half to get the Q1. So the lower half numbers would be all these numbers, okay? Since the median is something that we got from the 8 and the 9 number, so we include the 8 number in the lower half. And then don't forget that the remaining numbers will be your upper half. So let's look for the middle number of the lower half. So we go 1, 2, 3. So once more, we get nothing in the middle, which means we have to do the mean or the average of the 4th number and the 5th number. So that's 135 plus 140 divided by 2. So 135 plus 140 divided by 2, we end up with 137.5. Okay, for the upper half this time, same thing. Let's go 1, 2, 3. So let's do that again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it's in the middle of 200 and 205. So to get the median of the upper half, or Q3, we need to add 200 plus 205 divided by 2. And the answer for this would be 202.5. All right, so let's write down the range, which is from minimum to the maximum. Our minimum number is 120. and then the maximum is 225. So we could start off our graph by plotting those numbers. So 120, I'll start here, 120, and this time I'll go by tens instead of 5. So 120, 130, 140, 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, 200, 210, 220, and our range, our maximum is 225, so I have to go past 220 and put 230 right here. Okay, so these are my numbers. Now let's go plot the points. I'll plot the maximum, the minimum, which is 120. So minimum should be here. And then the maximum is 225. So it should be between 220 and 230. So I'll put it here in the middle of that grid lines. And then my Q2 is 165. So I'll go between 160 and 170 is 165. And then Q1 is 137.5. So if I go look at 130 and 140, it's not quite in the middle. It's 3/4. So I'll put it right there. And then finally we have Q3, which is 202.5, which is in between 200 and 210. So it will be 1/4 of in between those two numbers. So this will be my whiskers. This will be the bounding areas or the bounding walls of my box. This is my median, and then I'll just connect the whiskers. So once more, label them: minimum, maximum, Q1, Q3, and then this one is the median, or Q2.